views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to BronxTalk. Well, we're doing our New Year's show tonight, and what we're doing tonight is what we have done for the last 5 years. This is now the sixth year in a row that we're bringing on our good friend Joe Raskin, who is wandering New York, or more specifically for us, wandering the Bronx. And what he does is take photographs of some places that maybe they're not so iconic, but when you look at his photographs, they look iconic and they look like, wow, this is what our beautiful Bronx looks like. So right now it is my thrill to bring back to Bronx Talk for his annual visit, Mr. Wandering New York, Wandering the Bronx, Joe Raskin. Nice to have you with us, my friend.
Good to be back, Gary. And my annual Happy New Year greetings to the people of the Bronx.
We appreciate
Hopefully
it.
2021 is going to be a better year.
We certainly expect that 2021 will be a better year. But for you, do we count how many times you went out into the streets of New York City or the streets of the Bronx for the year? Is there a way of knowing, or you just go out often?
I go out normally I go out every day. Given the whole COVID situation, I can't. But under normal circumstances, I'm out every day.
Maybe we should rewind the clock a little bit. Maybe we've even discussed this over the years. How did you get started? What was the idea that made you say, you know what, I ought to go out and take pictures of things that people really never notice?
Well, my attitude is just get pictures of things in the city that people take for granted, even in the neighborhoods that they're located in, and give the tourist eye view. And so I take pictures of just normal everyday everyday pictures of the of various parts of the city and post them.
And at what point did you say to yourself, you know, this is more than just me and my little hobby, and that maybe people really would like to see some of the things that I take pictures of?
Yeah, it's one of the first times when you had me on the show the first time.
It was my fault.
You know, it's people responded to it that way.
What I like, and we're about to look at the pictures. I mean, the whole idea here is to celebrate the new year, take a look at what we look like in the Bronx for the old year, and move it forward. As you know, Joe, and maybe others who have seen our programs before, our New Year's programs before, I just love it because many of these cases, I've walked by those buildings 1,000 times and never even looked at them in that way. And that, to me, is what you do and what the beauty of it is. To remind us of the beauty of the borough. We should put the qualifier in that you don't take pictures of people. It's really the scenes, the buildings, and sometimes street scenes and things like that.
Right. People are peripheral in the pictures. Lately, I've been getting more people in the shots, but I try not to. It's either shyness on my part or fear of being confronted. What do you take my picture for? Type of thing.
Right, where the buildings don't complain. But I do notice very often when you post them on Facebook or other social media, people are like, wow, you know, that's my neighborhood. I know I've reacted that way when I say, wait a minute, you were right down my block. And then I see, I never looked at that structure or that neighborhood in that way. So anyway, let's get right to it. Let's look at the first photo that we've got. We got a bunch of them. This is, let's see, Selwyn and East 172nd by Claremont Park. This is one of these corner buildings. You seem to like the corner buildings, don't you?
I do, particularly in the Bronx, because the way the street system is set up, that there's a lot of different angles. They're not perfect 90-degree angles, so it gets a different look. In this case, also what attracted me was the fire escape there, which is very unusual, even for the Bronx, that it goes on all sorts of angles and going down to the street. It's not straight down, and it's hard to picture why they have it like that.
Yeah, in other words, it's like a little curlicue there, and that is strange because you would think it would be easier to construct if it went straight up. And you know, I don't know what the difference between what is at the fourth floor and the fifth floor that they had to have the fire escape on the side.
I can't figure it out. It's just like I guess you'd have to see it on the inside to see why they built it that way. But and also the color that they painted. In that area, there are a lot of greenish fire escapes that you don't see that much elsewhere.
There are a couple actually. You and I shared some that I had walked by that were red, and it was a bright red. I was like, wow, that's unusual. Anyway, let's move along. Bailey Avenue in Kingsbridge. Now these row houses, as it were, are semi-common in the Bronx. Where if you really stop and look at, I think there are some in Claremont. There certainly are some in the South Bronx and Mott Haven. I think we're going to look at some in Hunts Point, but they are absolutely spectacular. These row houses.
Yeah, very distinctive looking, and also if you're going by them on the Major Dean Expressway, they grab it that way also. But they have that sort of a look to them that it's very attractive.
I think if you were to be walking through the streets of Dayton, Ohio, and try to do the same thing, it wouldn't work because we have so much antique structure. I mean, the architecture, of course, nowadays they don't make homes like this anymore. But it is spectacular. I have actually been down that block. I can't say I've been to that liquor store, but I wouldn't admit it on TV anyway. Nonetheless, all right, let's move down. Let's go up to Fordham Heights. Yes, another one of these corner shots. This is Tebow Avenue in Fordham Heights. Any thoughts on this particular one? Again, go ahead.
The brickwork attracted me to this one. This is one that was kind of hard to get because it's a large building, and to try and get it all in one picture is kind of hard. I mean, I sort of succeeded with it. I lost a little bit of the top of it, but the brickwork is just such a great sight that it was just you couldn't avoid not taking a picture of it.
And the you know, when you look at the brickwork all the way at the top and its center is just spectacular. You know, would you have to go 2 blocks away to take that shot? It's like farther back. What's that?
I had to go up the block a little bit to get it.
Up the block. By the way, you know, let's look at the next one, and then I'm going to ask you this question. So this next one, I have told you I love this photo. This is the Prospect Avenue train station, and
Right.
The colors are rich. One of the things which you didn't do originally when we started doing our annual visit, but you do it more recently, and that is you do use some of the enhancements that are available in photo editing, don't you?
Yeah, just from experience, just trying to get a different aspect of it. I'm doing more things now than I did before, and I probably do things differently in the future, a little bit differently in the future as well. It's just trying to stay fresh, give everything a fresh look.
I saw one that you posted today or the day before, and we had already planned out this show, and I wasn't going to upset the apple cart. That was so beautiful that you had edited the colors, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I wish I could slide this in, but I didn't want to complicate things for our program today." But this I love, and one of the reasons I love it is because of the building behind it. It's like you could get lost in the architecture of even the subway station, but that building behind it is just spectacular.
I like to have shots of elevated stations, the buildings looming go over them in the background. One of the pictures I posted in the past, and I think we showed on the show, one of the previous shows, was by the Alton Avenue station on the number 2 train. The building, the apartment building in back of the station is looming over the station.
Well, you know, one of the maybe most famous ones, and I know you've taken many photographs of it, there's just not enough angles. And certainly if you take it from the train station is, of course, the Kingsbridge Armory. And
yes.
Yeah, I can't imagine being with Joe on a train and you say, okay, we're going to go to Marshall Parkway, we're going to go to Bedford Park. And then once he gets to Kingsbridge Road, he's hopping out of that train to take that picture. He's like, wait a minute, I got to do this one.
Oh yeah, I do it a lot of times. I have a picture like I'm going to run either tonight or tomorrow night or along the line of people waiting for a train to 161st Street Yankee Stadium on number 4. That it's like it's a night shot, but with the stadium looming in the background. It wouldn't work otherwise as well without that being there.
Yeah, well, of course, that's another one where in the Bronx where that really looms over it. Anyway, so I do love that Prospect Avenue one. The next is the Grand Concourse in Bedford Park, and the majesty of these buildings is just that. I hope that the landlords are taking care of those buildings because they're just so beautiful. But this one on Bedford Park, I guess that's the northernmost part of the Grand Concourse. You've been to the Concourse 1,000 times.
Oh, it's one of my favorite streets to photograph. I may be getting a little bit too repetitious with, but I love to take pictures of it. It's like the Marshall Parkway and Pelham Parkway, in my mind, 3 of the 4 most beautiful streets in the whole city. And it's just like it has so much character and just so much distinctive architecture to it.
The tops of those buildings, again, we don't spend time or money building structures like that anymore. I wish we would. Look how just absolutely gorgeous the tops of those are. Always wonder what it's like inside those apartments. In other words, do they conform to the walls or things like that? And again, I hope that they're being kept. I have no idea.
I would hope so. Yes.
Moving along, let's go to Burnside Avenue in Morris Heights. I'm guessing this is looking down Burnside toward Jerome, right?
Yes,
down the hill, so to speak.
It's the subway station a little bit in the back, a little bit in the background. I believe this is by Grand Avenue. Again, it's because of the way the angle of the streets are. It just gives the whole look that can't. It's like it almost invites me to take a picture of.
And it's another one of those corner shots. And what the corner shot does for me is it gives you perspective of the whole building, the whole neighborhood, the kind of thing. If you're walking down the block, you'll look at it straight on, and you might not notice it very well.
That's exactly, yeah. That's the whole point of it to me, to get a whole building in it. So it's like when you have that angle, it works out even better.
The next one, east to 205th and Hull Avenue up in the Norwood section of the Bronx. You have taken pictures of this building before, maybe not that angle.
Yeah, and I keep messing around with different angles, different lighting, different times of the day. It's a very interesting corner over there like that with the look up the other block, the other side of the block. There's a whole series of houses like that as well.
And this steeple, I wonder if that steeple is like somebody's attic or something like that, or if it's just uninhabitable. I don't know.
That's a good question. I've been wondering about that myself. It's just like why they did the extra touches to it. It's amazing to me.
And it's just a gorgeous building. I don't know, Joe, maybe you and I will go up there one day, ding dong, Gary and Joe, just want to know what's up there in the attic. Would you take us up to your attic? I know that's probably not going to go very well. Anyway, let's wander over to Hunts Point. Now, the Monida street area was recently made a historic district. Do we know if this is part of that? If not, it ought to be.
It's not. That's right. It should be. I'm not sure if it's that street. It's like looking down towards Hunts Point Avenue to the north. So it's like.
I wonder if we matched up, if we matched up the Hunts Point and that Bailey Avenue picture and put them together. If you'd say, "Wow, it looks like the same neighborhood," but it just shows you all over the Bronx. They're just
could be the same architect as well. So you don't and the same builder. So it's like a lot of things where it's like people say to me that there's a house is another neighborhood that looks like it's like, why not? Could be very rarely they people throw out the design, they'll use it again. So why not? It could be the same builder, same designer.
In this the library of Bronx books that I have behind me somewhere here, I'd have to go searching through it. There is a book on Bronx architecture. I think I'm going to pull it out and see. Maybe I'll get you a copy of it so we can.
Okay,
So
great.
finally, Joe could have a guidebook, but in a way, it would spoil it because I know there's spontaneity to what you do when you go out.
It's a home out of curiosity for me. I don't want to go looking for something, knowing what's there. I like to take a look at things that it would unfreshen the shot for me.
Yeah, you never want to know too much. No, and I know that, and I can appreciate it. And the work reflects, somebody who's looking at it and getting a first view of it. This next one also is incredibly interesting to me. This is University north of Fordham Road, and it's almost like a monolithic structure in a way. But the intricacy of those fire escapes is amazing.
It's a great block there. It's right across from the park, and it's like very distinctive architecture. The whole block over there.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go.
Well, so that way I'm just placing it. So that is like looking south on Fordham on University Avenue.
It's Fordham Road,
right.
yeah.
The Fordham Hill project is to the right as well, as you walk.
That's right. It should. It's an area really that deserves a very, very fresh look. It's both sides of Fordham Road on University Avenue. Very great architecture.
Wow. Joe, again, thank you. I have been on that block 10,000 times in my lifetime. And the next time I go, I promise I will look at it in person. But you have captured it beautifully. This next shot, which I absolutely love, I've told you before that I like it. This St. Anne's Avenue shot that looks all the way down St. Anne's Avenue. What time of day is that? Should I guess mid-morning?
Early afternoon. I got very lucky. I'm very lucky with that I was able to have the time to get in there, get halfway across the street, look down, and take the shot without being hit by a car or something like
that. That would not be good. We really don't want we really don't want that to happen. So that is let's see, St. Anne's Avenue. And look how beautiful. And of course, it's a very urban setting. And then you see in the distance it is somewhat suburban or green with the trees in the background, almost as if you had laid out a decoration for your shot of the street. Just beautiful.
Mont Haven, it was a major revelation to me going through there when I did to see the way it looks like. Both the landmark district and buildings that aren't landmarked. It's a very interesting area to see.
And again, for many of us who live in the Bronx and people who do things in the Bronx, this is, you never stop to look. I mean, I've been on St. Anne's Avenue plenty of times. I don't think I've ever thought of it in this way. I suppose if I looked for it in this way, I might see it, but I don't think I ever thought of it in this way.
I mean, the whole point for me is to take a fresh look at things. The neighborhoods that I'm more familiar that I lived in, I don't take as many pictures of for the most part because it's just I'm too familiar with it.
Let's just describe a little bit. So you would jump on a subway. I know that you're a transit guy and you worked in transit for many, many years. And so, you're beholden to that. So you'll jump in the subway and then do you plan like, okay, today I'm going to go to, 176th Street in the Concourse on the D train? Or do you just say, okay, now I'll get out? How does a day of wandering the Bronx work?
Point A is usually one I plan out in advance. It's where I wind up it's the question. It depends on how I feel that day, how much energy I have, where I feel like how much daylight I have, where I feel like stopping. So it's how do I get back from there and things like that. So the starting point is usually something I figure out where in advance when I'm going to start from. But where I end up is a question.
And then you actually are wondering. I don't know if it's a relevant question. Do you ever measure how far you've walked? I know I would check.
I try to, and I'm not. it depends on how much space I have in the memory on my phone to keep track of.
You know what you've done in me is there are sometimes that I go out and if I'm walking or whatever and I'm in the Bronx and I look at something and I know you know this because I've sent you these and I look and say, hey, wait a minute, this is a picture that Joe Raskin would like, and so I send them along. But what your work has done is given me and of course so many others a new perspective on our homes. I mean on our streets, and it makes me, and I'm hoping that's one of the objectives of doing this program. I'm hoping it makes other people react in the same way and say, wait a minute, my neighborhood is beautiful. My neighborhood has incredible structures. Let's get Joe to wander around here.
That's the effect I hope that I have on people. So it's like, it's not just the appreciation of the photograph, but the appreciation of the neighborhood, that they don't take things for granted that much.
And the beautiful history, not only of the Bronx, but of New York City. Let's see, let's go to this one. This is Marshall Loop Parkway and Bainbridge Avenue, another corner shot. Let's see, you got one apart. The two windows, are they both on the spine of that building? Yeah, it looks like it.
I believe so. I mean, it's a very interesting series of buildings there on that block. I usually try and get more of a straight ahead shot of them, and this time I tried from that angle, and it worked out pretty well for me.
You know, I think I've asked you this before. Is there a comparison to like what is distinctive between the Bronx and maybe some of the Brooklyn or Queens or some of the other places that you walk, or is every place just has its own wonder?
It's both. I mean, it's that the Bronx has a lot. Just as the Bronx seems to have more of different, like the Art Deco buildings, other boroughs have Art Deco, but just not as much as the Bronx does. And somebody the other day pointed out there's a distinction between Art Deco and Art Nouveau, which I don't grasp. But it's the Bronx has more of it. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that there was more imagination that went into building the buildings in the Bronx and in the other boroughs for the most part.
It's a matter of history, of course, that the Bronx was settled as they built the subway stations that went up north, and the areas around, the number one train and the 4, 5, and 6. That's how the Bronx got populated around those train stations.
Yeah, that's the subway construction went ahead of residential development. That it's not the other way around for the most part. That they went into an area and the communities developed around it as a result of with real estate development. Very rarely did residential commercial development precede subway development.
That's right. The subways really literally paved the way. This next one is Pelham Parkway South, and this is testimony to the variety in the Bronx and maybe throughout the city. Here is an alleyway. Now, I guess people walk through there, right? Do they walk through there, or is it closed off? I guess people can walk.
It's closed off from the street. It looks like people walk through it from the interior.
Oh, I see.
I had to take this picture through. I had to take this picture through the gate.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
So maybe people there can, but it's not open to the public. But it is, again, just testimony to the different kinds of things that you could miss. You walk by, maybe people.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly the point.
This next one, I love this picture. And I love the photos that make the Bronx look like it's a small town. And so we're looking at Shakespeare Avenue in Highbridge. And, if you visit over there, you in a way would never stop and look at it this way. This looks like a little area in a small town out of Dayton, Ohio. Or
people just know if you're in the neighborhood, people just take it, not take it for granted, but people say, hey, I want to go in there and buy something. My attitude, that's why I want to memorialize it, and not memorial, but record it. So to get good pictures of it, to show it in the context of the community.
We've had a number of these that are taken on clear days. Do you ever go out on not perfectly sunny days. I mean, I'm not saying you should go out in a rainstorm, and then the lighting is a little different, and you get a different point of view.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a lot of cases, the clouds add to the character of the shots. So it's I like to if I wait for a perfectly sunny, perfect sunlight and everything else like that, I'd lose a lot of taste, a lot of pictures. It's something I want to have in there as no, normal circumstances, real life type of situations.
This next one is Morris Park, and boy, oh boy, this is Morris Park. But again, it's the kind of, you would look at it, you could walk by it 1,000 times, but look at the way the building is
Very,
constructed.
it's very it's very distinctive. Even for the Bronx, it's very distinctive. This is the type of house he in Morris Park, and really, I know by saying this, somebody's gonna say, hey, I know this elsewhere, but you really see anything like this outside of Morris Park. It's just the type of again, it's the type of thing maybe you want to see from the inside also, but just along Van Ness Avenue, there's a lot of them like that, and other places, but not outside of Morris Park.
The brickwork along on the porches are just spectacular. I spent the architects to spend the time. All right, we got time for one more, and this last one is in the Westchester Square area. Yet another sort of row house that
Right.
you took pictures of, but all white on a clear day. How nice, or light blue, I guess.
This one you need sunlight to get a good shot of, because otherwise it wouldn't have worked out as well on a cloudy day. To just have it in the light like that, it would work out very well.
Joe, then you got to be good to be lucky, isn't that the isn't that the rule?
It's pure luck on my part. There's not a lot of forethought that goes into it. It's just like just being in the right place at the right time. I can't just. I have this habit with my photography. I don't have that much in elsewhere. Being in the right place at the right time.
Joe, we got about a minute. How many pictures do you take of a building before you get the one that you like, or do you just? It's easy to see, and you take it, and you get one or
Not
two.
too many. Not too many, because if I think about a shot too much, it doesn't work out as well. So I prefer just improvise and get one or two good shots of a building, and leave it at that, because it just takes up. I don't want to think about it too much.
And in one session, do you get 20 buildings, or who knows how many? It just depends what you see.
It varies wildly. I mean, I hate to think of going out in an area, just getting one or two shots,
Right.
but it depends.
Depends on the
Every day is different.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Every
to
day
go.
is different.
And you use what kind of camera?
I use a Panasonic Lumix and a Casio XLM and my Samsung Galaxy phone.
Joe, happy holidays. May you have a wonderful 2021. May you find incredible places in the Bronx to wander. And may all of us appreciate our beautiful borough of the Bronx and see it in the way that you did. Thank you so much for joining us yet again.
Always a pleasure, Gary. Thank you very much for having me on.
And please reserve a day prior to New Year's in 2021 so we can usher in 2022 next year.
You got it.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Enjoy yourself and your family, and keep everyone safe. We're going to get through this, and we're going to have a great 2021. Thanks to our wonderful producer, Stephen Powell, and Happy New Year, folks. Good night.